I'm Michelle Graves, your host on today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm glad to have you here. Now, at The Power of Money, we are interested in three things happening. First, we want you to get the necessary education so that you and your family can make the decisions that will impact positively on you in your financial life. The second thing is that you be empowered to prosper. I only want the best for you. And you can only get that if you have education and then the drive to make it happen. And the third thing that is so important to me is that you recognize that life is more than a journey and that you be energized so that you can begin to participate in the truly joyous experience of living. So, here's to empowerment, here's to education, and here's to energy. I'm Michelle Graves, your host, Power of Money, and here we go. And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known for the last 40 years. I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. I'm there as the money lady, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to have in my studio for the next hour an individual I've been trying to get on my show for, it seems like, eternity because of her incredibly busy schedule. But I am interviewing and talking with the Honorable Rhine McLin, who will be former mayor of Dayton, as well as holding a number of prestigious positions in the Democratic Party for the state of Ohio, well known nationally and internationally. And I'm glad and honored that she was able to accommodate me, because I was just going to harass her until she gave in to be my guest. Such a powerful woman and such a low-keyed woman in terms of how she moves. And I'm going to say this to all of you that know about politics and people. It's not who you know, it's how you move. And again, it's about stealth. It's about smiling. It's about understanding how things are done. And politics govern everything. Whether you like it or not, the job you're in today, you're probably engaged in politics. And you need to be aware if you're not, because it is real. How you interface with people, whether it's at the polls or whether it's on your job or in your church or synagogue or wherever you got people, there's going to be issues of communication and jockeying for power. It just is. So my guest, Rhine McLin, how are you, ma'am?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me here. It's
a
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I'm glad to have you.
You know, when we start talking about women and finances, women and power, women and politics, you know, one of the things that you hear all the time, which is so untrue, I don't get involved in politics. Yes, you do. Your whole life is politics. Your kids politic you. Your family politics you. Politics is everywhere. The only difference is that it's not defined as it is in the political world. Probably the worst politics are church politics and education politics. Those are probably the worst. And then you got office politics.
Yes.
So you can't get away from politics. So it's very important that you learn how to navigate the political arena of which you are in, whether it's at home or whether it's at work or even with your friends.
Right.
That you cannot escape politics.
Right.
We can call it whatever you want. You can call it negotiations. You can call it a lobbying. You can call it a whole lot of other things. But at the end of the day, it's all politics.
I think you're absolutely correct. And again, there's such a misunderstanding, in my opinion, with so many people when they say, I don't deal with politics. I say, oh, if you're married, you do. If you're trying to manage people like herding cats, you do. But let's talk about your life, because I know that you made a public decision to not run for mayor of Dayton again. And of course, I completely get it. But let's talk about from your perspective as you look back over the years. First, did you think your life was going to be where it is right now?
Oh no, I had no idea. When I originally went to college, I thought I was going to be a child psychologist with no children. Well,
okay.
I accomplished the latter part. No children,
okay.
Birth children, but lots of children.
Yes, you do.
And I did not become the child psychologist. So,
okay.
So, and I think that's one thing that's so important for young people to know, is that you must always stay in a ready position, because you never know what your life is going to be.
That is so true.
And
that
college,
is so true.
College is, what college is about is showing your ability to be able to learn and to adapt. Because most jobs that you get after college has nothing to do with what you had in college.
Isn't that so true?
So college is about learning how to adapt and being able that you can learn. Okay. That's what the employers really want to know. Can you adapt and can you learn? So unless you're in a specific major area, maybe engineering or something like that, even with that, they're going to retrain you on that job to adapt to whatever they're doing. So,
isn't that the truth?
Yes.
When I think about that. Yeah.
So that's why, we need to get back to vocational schools and training, because everybody's not equipped to adapt and to learn in a professional way. But if the plumber came to your house in a three-piece suit, you'd be really kind of shocked.
I would be very concerned.
Yes, but the plumber probably makes more than the school teacher.
Well, they do.
And so the things that really should have value in our country, we bang up on, such as teachers. Teachers are the most influential people in our lives.
I totally agree.
And
particularly with children.
Yes, and by the time a kid gets to maybe the third grade, it's there. You can almost see whether they're going to have a future or not.
Yes.
And the impact of education. And one of the things that we've seen in this country is that we have defunded, derecognized, and brutalized the teachers that go into the profession. And the African Americans have chosen not to go into education, and we really need to be in education, especially for the urban schools, because those are our children. And dating back to my time, all my teachers were African American.
Right.
So that's what I identified with. Nowadays, these kids, by the time urban school kids, by the time they get to high school, maybe they've had 10 black teachers, maybe.
Maybe.
And so, that's a whole cultural shift.
Now, why do you think that? Why did this happen? Why has this happened?
Well, I think one of the reasons that has happened is that the job is hard.
It is.
And the pay is low.
It is.
And when you're driven by student loans, you're going to go somewhere where you can try to pay them back faster.
Yes.
So, that just justifies, it doesn't justify it, but
it's human.
But it's normal.
Yeah,
that you see
human.
that.
Yeah.
That's what happened to a lot of our doctors. They're not into general practice. They've gone into specialties because it's quicker to pay back their student loans.
Yes.
Now, there's a doctor in Dayton that I used to have come speak to my classes at Central State that I taught. And the one day that he came, he announced, he says, after 25 years, I've just paid off my student loans.
No.
Yeah.
25 years. That's a mortgage.
And so, and so that's why you see where younger people are driven to occupations or careers that can have a turnaround in their student loans, or to choose areas where the government says if you do this, you get a benefit on your student loan. So it makes it very difficult.
So what you're telling is absolutely true. I'm totally against student loans. I believe there are benefactors and there is money available. But most people don't know about it and they don't know how to tap into resources. So,
you know, and you take like our kids, a lot of our parents don't realize that if it's not basketball or football, there aren't scholarships. But,
right.
you know, I can remember years ago, one of my friend's daughter went to college playing golf. Softball,
wonderful.
Softball, you know, there's other things out there. I went myself back in that day, I went on a cheerleading scholarship.
Okay.
But you know, there are other avenues, or chess,
Right.
or those kind of things that
Right.
are, but generally we don't know about them.
Right, you're absolutely, I interviewed a phenomenal lady on this show about, that's what she's done for over 20 years, that Yarborough, is access free money for qualified children of color. And it's just, it's fascinating because the monies are there, but it's tapping into the resources and how to get those that makes a difference. I just don't want our kids going out here with a lot of debt because it has economic impact. That's
it's
money.
a different form of enslavement.
It is absolutely a different form of
You know,
enslavement.
credit debt, those are different forms of enslavement.
Right. To our young people.
And our young people, you know, they need a head start.
They do.
And so, you know, one of the things that is very thankful for your show is that you're teaching women and people that you need life insurance. And I mean, life insurance is not burial insurance.
It's not.
And the difference between a lot of the Caucasian people and African American people, that they leave their insurance to give their kids an edge on life, whereas we're looking at burial only. You know, when you have a baby, in the first 6 months, golly, you can get $100,000, $200,000 for nickels.
$10 a month.
So by the time you become 18, you've developed a fund in there that you can even use for and borrowing money on your insurance policy is a lot cheaper than borrowing it from the bank.
Yes, it is. It's your money.
And it's your money.
It's your money.
So, you know, learning how to do all of this is so important that we have to stop relying upon the the life insurance from your job.
Right.
Because you need a separate policy from your job, because once you leave that job or something like that, it's gone.
I need to put you on my radio show. Excuse me. I'm just
and so these are the kind of things that we need to be educated on.
Yes.
And that and it's not hard.
No,
it's not hard.
It's not at all.
But it's exposure.
Right.
And where do they get the exposure? And I'm sure you or the same as me, growing up, you had home economics, you had all those things where you learn how to balance a budget.
We learned how to write checks.
You learn how to write checks.
Yes.
You know, and you got young people nowadays who've never even been to a post office.
That is amazing.
Well, you know, those are the kind of things we take for granted, but if they haven't been exposed, how will it happen?
Right.
And so I remember when I was working at Wesley Community Center, I was there, a interim executive director there, and I had one of the young kids from the Job Corps.
Okay.
And I said, well, come on with me. I got to go. We ride with me. We're going to go to the post office.
Okay.
And this kid is like 20.
Yeah.
And he goes and he says, I've never been in a post office.
Oh, that is amazing.
In my entire life.
I guess he didn't have a reason to, maybe.
But why? Because most of the things these young people do is either I pay online.
Yeah, you're right.
Or I order online. Or, I mean, they're not even really familiar with stamps.
You're correct.
So,
you're correct.
and it's amazing, but they still need to know.
Yes, they do.
And the reason why you need to know is because you never know when you need a backup.
Exactly.
And, it's just like I keep an address book.
Right.
And the reason why I keep an address book, in case something goes wrong with that phone,
And it's happened to me.
that
Oh
all
my
your
gosh.
contacts
Yes.
are lost.
You're like, you're kidding me.
And, and it's amazing
Yes,
that these young people know that they've never had the experience of knowing phone numbers.
Right.
You
Just press a button. Ding,
you-
ding, ding.
And, when you learn your best friend's phone numbers, you
Yeah.
had to learn your phone number at home.
Right.
And I, when I was substitute teaching in the Dayton public schools, it was very sad that a lot of these kids, and that's one of the first things you learn, is where you live.
Right.
And
Your
phone
address,
number.
your phone number.
Your
Mhm.
address and your
Yes.
phone number. And these kids didn't know. And so they're relying on a system or people to make sure that it happens. And so there are so many things that what's old is new, but what's new is old.
Right.
But we're not combining the two to work for good.
Well, see, this is why I have a level of hope, because it has always been the female.
Well, she's the backbone.
She is the backbone.
She's the backbone of this country.
Thank
She's the
you.
backbone of the world.
She,
And she's the most disrespected and despised of all. And you wonder, one of the things I say about African American women, and I'm going to speak to them specifically. African American women, we're mean. And we can be mean to each other.
we can be mean.
But white women can be vicious.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and by
Karen is
them
something.
being vicious,
Karen
but
is
the
something.
reason why they can be vicious is because they have the white man's support, and probably 80% of the time they have the black man's support.
You're right.
And that's why it's so important for black women to really unite as a sisterhood, because that's all we got is each other.
I'm so glad you said that,
I mean that's
because
really what we have.
I just
And
feel that
white
so strongly.
feminism does not include black women.
It does not. It does not.
And black women need to know that.
Right.
That white feminism does not include black women.
No.
And when you look at all of these movements that they've had,
Yes.
we're not included. We're used, but we're not included.
Right. In the decision making.
Right.
We're not.
And as they say, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. Or as Shirley Chisholm said, if there's not a chair and not a seat
Oh, I
for
love
you
that.
at the table, bring your own chair.
Bring your own chair.
And these are the things that we have to recognize, that if we're fortunate enough to be in that room, we're not in that room to be one of them.
No.
We're in that room
No.
to be their consciousness.
Right.
To be their
Right.
consciousness. And, we have to suffer. If you raise your voice,
Yes.
you're angry.
Yeah.
We're always fighting the stereotypes that
Right,
they put out
right.
there on us. And you know
Right.
what? The way I've come to the conclusion now is that, you're angry. Yes, I am angry. And I have reason to be angry,
Yes.
but I'm going to work through this and help you understand this. And that's how we
Yeah.
have to come, because at the end of the day, we get disrespected on so many levels. Sometimes you wonder at the end of the day, why am I so tired?
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
when you
Yes.
when you reflect back
Oh.
what all you went through during that day,
The day.
that day, you're going
that
like,
day.
oh, thank you, God, I made it.
Yeah.
And just like when I was considering running for mayor, and I was out getting my petitions, I got black men saying to me, have you called the black guy that's running? I'm like,
Why would I do that?
well, I'm thinking,
I'm running. I mean,
what does that have
what
to do
does that-
with me? But anyway, but they feel comfortable enough to say
say
that
it
to
to
you.
And-
They feel comfortable enough to try to put you in your place.
Right. Where is that, by the way?
Question.
Question.
Where is that, by the way? And the other thing is, when a black woman has confidence in herself,
Yes.
she is dangerous.
You said it.
She's dangerous.
At least
She's smart.
but no.
She knows what she's doing.
Nope.
She's dangerous.
Right.
And what happens is that everybody comes out to try to pull her down.
Right.
And I saw this statement, and it's so true. And it was related really to black women. And it was that, we carry our burdens so well that folks don't believe they're heavy.
Oh my gosh, that's quotable. That's quotable.
And that is so true, because we do.
Right.
And that makes people beat on us more because we're not showing the strain.
Right.
The beat down.
But I tell you, I don't know if it behooves us to show the strain, because when you are cracking up, there's no rallying cry.
No support system.
No, there's no support system when I look at what is happening to black women in this country, and the fact that we don't have a support system to uphold us in so many situations with children and jobs and trying to achieve and optimize situation. It's tough. And yes, I feel tired all the time. Okay, I go to bed tired. I wake up tired.
And it's one of the things that's always amazed me about black people is that I'm always amazed that we live so long. I'm always amazed. I'm living at an age where I never dreamed I would get here, because the stress of being black every day.
Every day.
From the moment you wake up to the racism that you have to endure all during the day, and especially since this can of worms that was opened up under the past presidential, and I don't know when that's going to go back in the jar. But the fact is, when you go to the store, that whether somebody will feel comfortable enough to come up to insult you. And I finally learned that, and I had that happen to me, and so it was like in a September, and I had on one of my hats, and I had on a nice summer dress. It was warm outside.
Okay.
And this white lady came up to me and said, "Don't you know that it's fall? It's not summertime." And I looked at her, and I looked around, and this is where Clint Eastwood's statement comes in, that a man's got to know his limitation. That means you're outnumbered. I looked around in the store, and I said, "Okay, I'm outnumbered." So now, what's plan B? The plan B is I want to ignore you and get the Hades out of this store.
Right.
But you see that.
Right.
Or the fact that you're in a store and they're asking you to stay 6 feet apart.
Right.
And you got somebody up on you.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm trying to stay safe. I'm trying to do all these things because I'm not comfortable with the medical care, because as an African American, I know that my medical care is not to the best, even if I go to the doctor, whether they're going to really spend the time to diagnose me as an African American woman.
And do me right.
Right. So therefore, it's more important as we as African American women need to be in tune to our own bodies to have an idea of what's going on.
Right. But we have been trained on so many levels that everybody comes before us.
And that's
the truth.
We are caregivers. We are caregivers.
I mean, I'm dealing with it now. It's real stuff.
And you give, and everybody expects you to continue to give.
Don't they?
And then there's that one day that you don't feel well yourself, and there's nobody there. And sometimes we have to, as I always say, you got to step back to go forward.
Okay.
So that gives you an opportunity to see what you need. Every time you look, people look all the time, but very few people see.
That's good.
And so that's one of the things I try to teach my young people is that you all do a lot of looking.
Yeah, but do you see?
Yes. And, one of the things I always try to tell my young people, read what's not written. See was not shown, and hear was not said.
Yes.
And those three things will get you through life, because when somebody tells you something, you have to realize that what they're not saying
Right.
is what they're saying.
Right. Oh, that speaks louder than the voice.
Than the voice.
It
and,
does.
And so many people nowadays, there's no accountability to your word. When during my dad's time and growing up, they would tell you two things. Your word is your bond.
Yes, they do.
And that when you go outside the house, you're representing this family. So
Yes.
your actions,
Yes.
your actions, I can always remember my dad saying, you're a McLin. And when you go outside this door, you're representing the McLin family.
Yes.
And how you act or how you portray comes back on the family. It's just not you.
Right.
And even in the Chinese culture, that they put their last name first, because the family is first.
Yes. Yes.
And we've lost that. So many of these kids, when I was substitute teaching, I go back to that. We've named our kids, all these different kind of names.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I can't, and they're very particular about how you pronounce them.
Yes. Yes.
So I would just say, I can't even deal with these names because they're too complicated for me.
Last name.
So I would use their last names. And a lot of the kids didn't know who they were when you called their last names.
Oh my gosh.
Because you remember now, people call you on your phone and they'll call you by your first name or something.
Yes.
Like, you don't
I'm
know
like, no,
me.
you don't know me.
Yeah.
I just had
And
that.
I have a problem with
I
I have a problem with children calling adults by their first name.
Well, because they weren't taught.
I know.
And that's the thing that we're dealing with today, which is, sadly, I've seen so much over the last 10 years that I feel like I'm Rumpelstiltskin sometimes. I really can't believe this is happening with the speed that it is happening. And again, my concern remains, and it's a real concern, based upon demographics. We're going to be a nation of women and children. We are going to be a nation of women and children because men are dying.
The men are dying, and one of the things that is easily to see, if you just follow the obituaries.
Oh my God!
You open the pages, and there are more white people dying than blacks.
Absolutely.
And which also, attributes to some of the actions that we see because they know that they're losing their rank.
Yes. Demographics are real.
And the demographics are real.
Yep.
And you're looking at this because, while we're talking about this, one of the things that really bothers me is that we as a people, yes, it's true that the social justice system is not right. And Richard Pryor used to say, it's just us for justice.
Yes,
And you see that. But
Yes.
however, we're not speaking loud enough about us killing each other. We're not speaking.
It's a hot subject. People don't want to touch it.
We don't want to talk about
We don't want to
us
talk
killing
about it.
each other. We don't want to talk about the mental health issues that we have in our community.
Yes.
These are the issues, these are the things that are killing us.
Right. Well, I totally get it on the mental illness piece because I did exhaustive research on the issue of DNA encapsulation.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I did a 400-year span when I was working on my economics of slavery. And a lot of this is a result of things that happened many centuries ago, and those traumatic experiences are encased in our DNA.
Well, we have post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yeah, that's one thing, but the DNA piece is
another.
Oh, major.
Okay, well, there are, I never wanted to believe this, but it's true.
Yeah.
That there could be a family of mental health issues, just like you
Yes.
can have a family of diabetes.
Yes.
You can have a family of those who are just criminally
Right, inclined.
inclined.
Yes, you can.
And it's, you know, but the thing that really bothers me more than anything else is that our young people aren't reading this history to continue the
No.
knowledge to understand
Right.
why things happen the
Right.
way that they do.
Right.
And if, you know, people will perish if we
And
don't
are.
and perishing because we're not learning.
Right.
And when history repeats itself, it repeats itself because we haven't learned
Right.
anything.
And my real concern, and that's why I said when I look at what I call the emergent, and the emergent I see, the mandate I see, is that women are going to take an increasingly aggressive position. African American women, of course, because of these things that are happening. And because we recognize that if someone is not there to facilitate a conversation and a communication, and that's where your politics come in, because there's got to be
The voices, you know,
the
the
voices,
voices.
the voices.
When you look at the voices of Congresswoman Bush,
Yes,
you look at the voices of AOC.
right,
You
right.
look at the voices of these women,
Yes,
even Beatty here in
Right,
Ohio. You
right.
look at that. You look at these voices, and then you have a real powerful voice down there in Cincinnati out of Alicia Reese.
oh yes,
I mean,
indeed.
she-
She's going to say it.
She's going to speak the truth, and we have to speak the truth unabashedly.
Right,
And nobody else, you know, oh, don't do that, don't do that, oh, don't say that. You know, why?
don't understand. Why?
Why? If I don't
Yeah.
bring this to your attention, how are you going to know it?
Right,
You have disrespected me,
right,
and you need to know that.
yes,
And then, one of the things that's really interesting about a majority of either black men or white women, black men and white people,
yes,
when you push back on them,
yes.
they become victims. And you're watching, you're looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's been wrong, but
Right.
because I spoke my piece,
Right.
you the victim? It's
Right.
like, really?
I'm telling you, it's been a peculiar time that we're in, and I pray that this gets worked out. That's the politics again. The level of communication has to be clarified, because as I tell, nobody's going back. Nobody's going back. The young people aren't going back.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
And that's why I admire, and I do admire, us older women who,
Yes.
who have been sexually harassed all our careers.
Thank-
We've learned how to walk backwards.
The dirty
We-
old man
we-
syndrome.
We have learned to walk backwards. We have learned to
Yes,
dodge and duck to
yes,
keep
yes,
it going.
Yes, to
Now,
keep it moving.
And so that is nothing new for us.
Not at all.
But these young ones, whoo, they don't care.
Oh.
No, you stepped out of your lane.
Right.
And I want you to know about it. And when you look at this whole Me Too moment, well, those are the Karens.
Right. Right.
All of a sudden, but now they benefited from
Oh yeah.
a lot of their stuff.
Yeah,
But
they
anyway, whereas if you go back in our history, because somebody denied it or something, they
Yeah.
got punished.
Yes.
Black women got punished.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the Billie Holidays and
Oh
all
my
of that.
gosh.
I mean, the Eartha Kitts.
Yes.
All of these women,
Right.
Nina Simone's, women that were punished
Right. Over something.
over something of speaking out.
Yes.
And
it's
so
horrible.
when you see that, and then you see the Me Too moment, and you're going like, really, Karen?
Really.
Really?
Really. I mean, seriously.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. And we're supposed to all have this great empathy, and it's all within your own racial category here.
Right.
Because black men, what they call that sexual eye contact could be hung.
Yes. For less.
Sexual eye
Eye
contact
contact.
could be hung. That's how it was interpreted when if a black man looked at a white woman
Too long.
it was a sexual contact, eye contact,
yeah.
and he could be hung.
Right.
Okay, so
And was. Okay.
okay, and you know, Billie Holiday was severely punished because she wrote the song
Yes. she
Strange
did. Strange
Fruit.
Fruit, yeah.
And I have a book called Without Sanctuary, which is a whole book of hangings.
Oh.
And I mean, it is so powerful. And how white people, that's where the picnic came from.
Right.
And-
Right. Break it down.
To the
Okay,
picnic.
Right.
And had postcards, and they had their children there watching how they have hung a black person, not seeing us as people.
Right.
And to this day,
Right.
we still have a potential of being invisible with them.
Well, I tell you this, the hangings haven't stopped.
No,
It's the reporting that is on the down.
it's on the
hang-
increase.
But I know it's on the increase.
Let me just say this: the beauty of the Facebook and the iPhones and the cameras and
Yes.
stuff, none of this has stopped,
I know.
but it's been publicized.
Yes.
You know, we might have not known about a George Floyd
Right. In a time.
in that in
that time.
in instant time.
Yes, right.
And so the but now give you an example. You see, there was movement on the black man, Floyd,
But nothing on her.
it's dragging
On
on
her, Breonna.
Breonna. But even, you know, these are the kind of things that we have to keep in front. But
Oh, we must.
there's a group of young people out here that are saying, we're not going to be silenced.
No.
We're going to bring the issues.
Right.
These are the young people I'm looking forward to running for office. These are the young people that I'm looking forward to really have community service in them.
Right.
You know, I look at in Dayton here. I look at the Tay Winstons that have started the entrepreneur system,
Yes.
and that, you know, a few weeks ago she got broken into.
Oh, no.
So, you know, I look at the Chaz Amos,
Yes,
that's a young
yes,
man that
yes.
says, I love West Dayton, and he
Yes.
picks projects to clean up. I look at the Deja Demings who
Right.
are out here, but you see that in that they compromise them. A lot of my young people don't realize, but they're giving them all the celebrity status, they're compromising them. Because see, a lot of things you can do, but that's the group that that's the generation that they're in, that everything that I do has to be documented and
Right.
for you to know that I've done
Right,
it.
right.
I consider my career more of a rug rat.
Right.
You may not see me,
But I'm busy.
but you know I've been there.
Right.
Because a rug rat will leave his droppings.
Right,
And so,
right.
but you may not have seen it.
Right, right.
And so I operate that way much better than being in the forefront, because
Right.
being in the forefront really limits your effectiveness because they keep the eye on you.
Of course. And I think coming out of our generation, it was more effective when I was involved heavily in taking a leadership role in banking and the discrimination of black people, all that stuff, because
Oh,
I
and
was
it's
a
still-
banker. And it still is.
And it still is. I mean, the way that they do us.
Oh, my God.
As far
I
as
just-
appraising our property.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
if you go for equity, I mean, predatory lending didn't become an issue when they were doing all the poor black people with predatory lending. It didn't
Isn't that
become an issue
Right.
until the greedy white folks got involved.
Right,
And
right.
started losing their stuff.
Right.
You know, I always give credit to Dean Lovelace. He was
Oh my gosh.
he was out front early on about predatory lending.
Yes, he was.
He was out early on trying to get these banks to do the right thing
Right,
in their
right,
community.
right.
You know, the redlining. These things are still happening.
Right.
And, you know, why is it that it's easier for me to get a loan to buy a car than it is to buy a house?
Because that's
the
all
value,
they can see.
The value of property is more important
Yes.
than a car. Because see, a car, in most instances, you know, it depreciates its value as soon as you run it off.
It does.
And I always say, I'm going to get into a car business, you know, I'll buy a real expensive car once it has a bathroom, a bedroom.
Yes.
Because I'm going to spend the majority of my time in my home.
car.
And so
That
I
would
want
be
my
your
home
car?
to be nicer than
Yes,
the car, because
yes.
my car is transportation. But
Right.
we all go through. I mean, I was young, you know, you wanted a nice car, but at the end of the day, you want to go home.
Yes, you do. And you want to go home in a safe, secure environment.
You want to have a refuge.
You do.
You do.
You
And you
absolutely
can't
do.
have it in the car, because you can have the car out on the street and somebody can run into it. Somebody can steal it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things that can happen to it.
Right.
But the value, so because of the way the banking system has worked,
Yes.
it's made us over the years have more value on a car than
Than a house.
than a house, because it was easier to get the
Right,
money.
right. But see, I remain resolute, and I say that because change has got to come,
Oh, it's coming.
and it's coming.
It's coming. You know, you're starting to see younger people getting involved in the stock market.
Yes.
You're starting to see them
Oh,
risk.
wasn't that something what they did with that GameStop?
Yeah.
I was laughing.
I mean, and you know,
I was laughing. That was funny.
And so all of this is happening because these young people, they know, and the difference, you can walk into a person's house that's 50 years older, 50 years or older, you know that they're 50. Nobody has to tell you, because you're going to look in their house and you're going to see something that they collected.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
you know, whether it's thimbles, whether it's teddy
Something,
bear, it's
something,
collected.
something.
Whereas the young people, they're not about that. They're minimalists, because they know that they might have to move at a second's notice to go somewhere for a job.
Yes.
So they don't want all that luggage.
Right.
They don't want all that stuff. And one of the things, I've been doing what you call the Swedish death clean. And the Swedish
Okay.
death clean is when you go in and you look at your stuff,
Yes.
and you say that if I'm dead and somebody comes in, they're going to say, why did she have that?
Yes.
Or, oh, this is the things that she enjoyed. So, you know, and so I've been getting rid of stuff left and right. And every time it seems like it's multiplying. The more I get rid of, the more it is. But, you know, you start looking and you start, even with clothes, you know.
I'm there.
I'm
not
getting rid of
kidding you.
clothes all the time.
There.
I'm trying, because how much do I need?
Right.
And I'm just so thankful that God has blessed me to have as much as I have.
Yes.
And
yes.
that why be selfish with it
Right.
when there's others that have need?
But you know, it's funny because my children are all in that generation where keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. And they asked me, my daughter not too long ago, she was at the house, and she said, you don't need all this.
No.
It's just you. I mean, and I thought about it, and let me tell you, it's been moving at my house. I'm getting rid of stuff. It's too much.
And you, you have to ask yourself, okay, and the question you ask is, I came across a bag of birthday cards
Okay.
from like 2010.
Yes.
And I looked, I said, there's three things you can do with this. You can read them
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
and throw them out.
Yeah.
You can read them and keep them.
Yeah.
Or you can just not read them and throw them out.
Done.
And so, you know, and I looked, and when I did it, it was like,
How'd you feel?
I felt relieved.
Because that's what I'm dealing with now. Why do I need all these birthday Christmas cards?
From the past.
Why?
So I'm getting to the place now that I'm looking at the things that correspondence
Yes.
to be similar to my taxes.
Okay.
They tell you that you have to keep them 5 to 7 years.
Yeah,
that's
7
the
years.
max.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, then
so
you're done.
So that goes.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at, like, if I got T-shirts that are large, well,
Yeah.
I wear medium.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, okay, I can give them away.
Right.
And, you know, just going through the process, and each time you do, I feel good. You know, one of the things I've done is that I have purses, and so
Yes.
I wear a purse every month,
Okay.
change every month.
Okay.
And so at the end of the month, if that purse was not really to my benefit,
Yeah.
I get rid of it.
I need to do that.
I wear a different purse, and I don't care what I got, the purse is going with me for that month.
Okay, for that
and
month.
at the end of the month, you know, it might have been too small or something might have been with it or something.
Yeah.
And you go like, okay, I
You know
donate
what
that.
I did last night, and I was actually traumatized. I have keys that
Don't fit anything.
Don't fit any key. I'm like, what's that for?
Now, what I do with those?
What do you do?
Okay, I keep a container, and I will donate them to like the K-12 gallery where they do artwork and they can use different things like that. Yeah.
I didn't even think it. Well, I did. I dumped them. I said, I've had these keys. I don't even know where they go to. I don't even know why I have them. Are they the file cabinets? Are they the doors? But I was nervous, and then I said to myself, I'm getting older, because that is not healthy.
I don't want to be a hoarder. Have you ever been in a hoarder's house?
I have. That's why I'm real careful. I'm not interested in that kind of lifestyle.
Oh, no.
No. That's mental illness. That's got to be mental.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, just overwhelmed.
And not only that, you know, they don't even know it.
No.
Because I would not invite anybody in my house.
Oh, no.
But they don't have a problem with that.
And you're looking around like, oh my God,
God.
but this is really kind of creepy.
You know, when they were doing the hoarder shows, I mean, they had a lot of people from Dayton that were on those shows.
Really? I've only seen hoarders one time, and it upset me so badly to see people living like that. I said, I can't watch that. That was tough. That was hard. It really was. A lot of them were women.
And the thing is this, that sometimes you need a third party to go through your stuff with you, because you will find a way to keep it. And then, but I hit those little moods, and when I hit those little moods that says I'm in a giveaway, throwaway mood, I really try to zero in on that. You know, just like older, like CDs and audio
found out they don't do that anymore.
I
didn't know you didn't do CDs anymore. They don't do CDs anymore. The kids all do that Pandora and Shop, all that. They said, why do you have CDs when you can get it all?
Well, I still got albums and 45s, and I got cassettes. The only thing I don't have are 8-tracks. I did get rid of them.
I got rid of mine. But now I find out you shouldn't have.
Well, no, because now LPs are coming back.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
LPs are coming back. And so, but anyway, I take to the half-price bookstore.
Yes.
I take my old audio books and stuff like that, and CDs that I don't want anymore. And if you don't get but $5, it's more than what you had.
Well, again, it's about what's going on in our head. And that is just a part of this whole transition thing that I think we're looking at, scaling down, simplifying, identifying the things that are really meaningful and important. And
to you.
To me.
To you.
Yeah, to me. The things that, and the rest doesn't really much matter.
I hear so many of my friends who have children, that their children come in their houses and say, Mom, you need to get rid of this stuff because I don't want it. I mean, they're telling you in advance that they don't want it.
Yeah, the china, the crystal, they don't want it.
They don't want it.
I tell you, there's not a big market for that anymore. There's not. People are not collecting china. People are not collecting crystal. They're not doing it. And I think about all the women that spent their entire years getting complete sets.
Yeah.
Complete sets. Black women, complete sets. And now, nobody cares. Nobody cares. So what moves you both as we look at this emerging political climate? What do you think is the most important thing for us to pay attention to?
I think we do know.
Okay.
The African American woman is the most reliable and solid voter. Period. She is the most reliable, solid voter. And what we're going to start seeing, I think, from African American women is that see me roar. That the see me roar is going to be, yes, we are your most loyal voters, we are your most consistent voters, but we're not going to be ignored.
I totally get it.
And so, and I think you're starting to see, even in this presidential administration, that African American women are getting placed in good
And
strategic spots. And you know, you got to give, even with Marcia Fudge being
oh
at
my
HUD.
gosh, can you believe that? That's so amazing.
So this is what you're going to see, and you almost feel like there's a conspiracy between white women and black men to try to hold black women
Not
down.
gonna happen.
But I think because of that alliance,
Yes.
you're going to start seeing, like having Amanda Gorman speak.
Yes. Yes.
You're going to start seeing the African American woman begin to roar. And she's going to do it in all fields and everything. I mean, you've seen where there's a black woman scientist that has a lot to do with the COVID.
Yeah,
and I mean, we're everywhere.
The lead. I mean, really.
We're everywhere.
Yes.
And so now we're going to be seen.
Yes.
And that we're refused any longer to be in the background. We no longer want to be the hidden figures.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But up front.
We don't have to shout, but we just want you to know we're there.
Right. And
We just want our respect.
Wow.
And that's what I see even with the younger black women coming up. We're going to see me roar. And
Fitting.
the
So
phenomenal woman, that's in our past.
Yes.
But theirs is going to see me roar because they are going to say, you know, they're going to push their way in. They're going to let these guys know that you're either going to respect me or you're going to have to get out the way.
I'm with that.
And so,
I'm with that.
it's amazing that here we are in 2021, still fighting, especially folks our age, black women our age, still fighting for respect
Period.
from our black men.
Yes.
And they don't even, and I still, it's a mystery to me about how they can do that. And they have wives, they have sisters, they have mothers, they have daughters, they have nieces. But yet, for some reason, they refuse to see us as an equal, as a partner.
Ooh.
The only time that we're a partner to them is when we're behind them, supporting them.
Right. And
They can't be
frankly,
partners
no.
to us.
No. Time is up.
Oh, really?
I'm
Okay.
not kidding you. Ben peered in and I said, oh man, I'm having such fun. I don't want this to end. Can I intrude into your life in the future
You
and
certainly
yank you
can.
back in again?
You certainly
I really
can.
do mean it. This was a great opening, and I just feel like I've known you forever. I really do mean it. You're an amazing woman. And for those of you that are tuning in to The Power of Money with Michelle Graves, your host, thank you for being a part of my world and hearing this conversation from the Honorable Rhine McLin, and looking forward to doing a follow-up on this one, because this was just a warm-up. Okay, this was just a warm-up. So thank you so much for, again, being a part of my listening, viewing audience, wherever you're tuning in from. And we look forward to joining you soon. God bless you and keep you in the days ahead. Goodbye.